So, full disclosure, I do not enjoy public speaking. It stresses me out. I got to black out halfway through talking. So, by all means, stop me if there's any questions, or I'm rambling, or y'all want more clarity on anything. She's also videotaping, which times everything by 2 my stress level. So I'm probably going to black out after this sentence. That being said, I have to go over a few things y'all must know. A is good to know because it's life safety information. B, you must know because you may be questioned by joint commission. And so far we haven't been doing too great with questions, so I need to do a better job on presentation. So, going forward, remember these are the things you must know. If you take anything away from today, please take away one thing. If you're asked by a surveyor, if you're asked a question by a surveyor, please God, do not respond with I do not know. They care about how you get from A to D. They just want to see you get from A to D. You have resources available to you, whether that's me, your manager, your coworker, your badge, all of that. They just want to see you complete the task that they request. Whether that's what you do in the middle of a fire, race, or back of a badge. You can read this stuff to them verbatim. I know it looks silly reading to a grown adult, but that's what they'd like to see. Please do not respond with I do not know. Just see if you can go through the process of finding out. So, along with that, surveyor just passed survey, questioned a few people about these push buttons, which we've never educated on in the past, so that's on us. But that's because we never want people to push these buttons to begin with. So if you ever ask what is your responsibility with these push buttons that are around, your responsibility is to never push them. You do not push them. If there's any question about it, you can read this verbatim to the surveyor. They're above every push button. We got plenty of these push buttons at every charger station, OR, and procedure. The rule behind these buttons is weird interpretations of the state. Basically, it is for the event that there's a chemical spill or chemical plant explosion. There's something hazardous in the air outside or in another department that we want to isolate the HVAC system. And this button shuts off the HVAC system completely. There may be a label over a few of them that say for fire emergency use or along those lines. And this do not touch is right above that label. This is not meant to use to prevent a fire. Our air handler system is sophisticated enough to do certain things depending on where the smoke is coming from. If the smoke is just in the return, it senses it, it sets off life safety devices, it shuts a damper in the middle of our air handler, and it exhausts all that smoke directly out. That return motor jumps to 100%, so it's pulling the exhaust smoke, it's pulling that smoke out as quickly as it can. It's going to continue supplying fresh air, so we can have a lot of air exchanges to keep our employees having fresh air to breathe. That's the most dangerous. The second it senses smoke in the supply, it will shut that supply motor off so we're not dumping smoke throughout the whole hospital. That return's going to stay at 100%. Pushing that button mitigates all of that. The smoke will build up in the department extremely quickly, especially if the fire's out of hand. So these buttons are never to be pushed. On that, if you're asked what is your role, what do you do in the event of a fire, race. So on the back of your badge, rescue alarm, find, extinguish. That E can also mean escape. If you can't put the fire out with one fire extinguisher, that's when we'll escape from that department. Rescue or safely rescue if you can. You never want to put yourself between the fire and your only source of an exit. So if a patient's bed is on fire for whatever reason, they're smoking, you don't want to get on the other side where the window is to help assist them or rescue, because then you eliminate your only source of an exit. So rescue if you safely can without eliminating for one source of an exit. Then you want to activate the alarm. So after you rescue, you go on alarm. It's on these pull stations. If you're asked to pull a pull station, or surveyor question you where's your nearest pull station, it's okay if you don't know exactly where your closest one is at. What you want to do is go as if you're leaving the building. So if you have none memorized, which is normal, nobody here does, go as if you're leaving the building, the surveyor will follow you, and you will pass by a pull station 100% of the time. No matter where you're standing or where you're at in here, you will pass by a pull station on your way out of the building. Once you pull the pull station, it's going to set off the life safety devices if they're not already triggered by the air handler. It'll trigger an overhead call, the annunciator. It should tells us the vicinity of the fire. It's not a specific location. If it says fire in the pharmacy, up here's a pharmacy room, the fire may be in room 200 or even 202. It just gives us a general location, not a specific spot. So, combined, although when you pull the pull station, it's going to shut all the smoke and fire doors. want to shut as many doors as we possibly can. That's just greatly slow the spread of the fire. And then extinguish or escape. Like I say, if you can put it out with one fire extinguisher, great. If not, want to escape the area. Being a hospital, we just can't escape and leave patients who are in a very vulnerable position. We escape horizontally to an adjacent fire and smoke department. As we're escaping, what we want to do when we clear these rooms, that's what the blue tape is meant for. The blue tape is in each cubby of the fire extinguisher. The blue tape is to help identify rooms that have been searched and cleared of individuals. It lets us know and emergency responders know this room is clear. The blue tape is to cross this gap between door and door frame. It's not meant to go on the door, it needs to cross this gap. The reason behind it, if I were to go back in this room, it's going to break this, it's going to let most personnel know this room needs to be rechecked, or somebody went in after it's been inspected. So these are in every cubby, and that's the use of the blue tape. So, if you have to put out a fire extinguisher, it's also on the back of your badge. Pass. Pull, aim, squeeze, sweep. Pull means to pull this pin. This is useless with the pin involved. Pin in that. Pull this pin, base this handle, squeeze it. Aim at the base of the fire, not at it, you'll float over, do nothing. Aim at the base, squeeze the handle, sweep there. If we need to shut off the med gas shut off in the area due to a fire or any other emergency, we'll show you how to do that. But the rule of thumb behind these shut-offs, so we need to confirm with the charge nurse of that department that nobody is in that area that needs the med gas, or that's currently on the med gas, or that's oxygen, medical air, suction, whatever's in your area. As long as we confirm with that second person, nobody's in there that needs the med gas, we can shut it off. From a facility standpoint, there's no big hoops to jump through to reactivate these lines. So please, if you ever have to think, if you think you should turn them off, go ahead and turn them off with the confirmation from the charge nurse. These panels look all the same, whether you're second floor, first floor, OR, South Point, doesn't matter. They're all the same. They're all gonna have this cheap piece of acrylic on here with the location name on the panel that tells you the rooms are about to shut off. So there's no confusion about which gases you're shutting off. I'm not sure if y'all can read there, that says AAU 1 and 2. I know shutting the gas off here is not going to impact anybody else on the inpatient unit other than AAU room 1 and AAU 2. This pulls straight off. Don't worry about it if you break it, they're easily replaceable. As you can tell, when I pull that panel off, the labeling's still here. I mean, it may be hard to read, but it's written on each line, AAU 1 and 2, just to give you double confirmation which rooms you're about to shut off. These valves are foolproof. There's no way you can mess this up. There's only one way to turn them. You can only pull it straight to you. The second you pull it straight to you and the handle's pointed towards you, you know that's off. You're good to go. If you're in an emergency situation, you need to reactivate it, that's fine. It doesn't have to be a facility, you can reactivate it yourself. Just turn that handle slowly and you'll be okay. Let's see. If you have to call an overhead code, it's great to do, that way we can give more information on the location of the fire, since the overhead announcement is only a general vicinity. So if you have more information to give, that's another reason we can give an overhead code. It's also something nobody does regularly, so it's also in the back of your badge how to do it. In order to dial, it's down here, not there. Sorry about that. Every phone has a page button, 4 buttons down. In order to dial the overhead code, pick the handset up, hit page, then 1. You'll hear a tone over the handset. The second you hear that tone, you can start speaking. If you create a feedback loop, and for those been here long enough, I know y'all heard it, you're too close to a speaker. You need to end that feedback loop either hanging up or muffle the phone over your shirt to end that feedback loop, and then make the announcement again further away from the speaker if you can. This year we've also added the security button halfway down on button 3. This dials straight to a security cell phone. Security 24/7. If you need to make any sort of, you let them know about anything. If you see any suspicious behavior in the parking lot or anything odd or out of ordinary, that's why they're here, so they can investigate, they can document, they can track themselves and look at it. If you feel so unsafe walking to or from your car, why they're here as well to assist us. That dials straight to your cell phone, they're here for whenever. What you also must know is where your SDS book is located. More than likely, wherever your SDS is currently located, it's where it's been yesterday, last week, last year, the last 10 years, same spot. And it'll be the same spot in the next 5 years, more than likely. They are updated once a year, but they can be a little hefty to go through. It's my personal recommendation. You're in a department with multiple people, multiple things can happen at one time. You have a chemical spill. One person can easily needs to go through this book and figure out what chemical spilled. The second person can more than likely Google the chemical name that was spilled and the SDS after that name. 99.9% of the time, so the first 2 links you see will be a PDF of that SDS. Regardless, you need to know where this is at. If you don't know where it's at, please don't tell a surveyor you don't know. More than likely, the person beside you knows, your manager knows, or call me, and I'll bring you one. They just want to know that you can get from A to B. These are unique per department. If you're in the OR and have a chemical spill there, we don't want to grab pre-op packages SDS. They are unique per department. The only common one that has everything in it is up front. If you do get a spill in your eye, you need to get to your nearest eye wash station. How they're activated may differ from device to device. It may be a push paddle, it may be a squeeze handle. Regardless, it's one action. As soon as that action has been initiated, it's hands free. That paddle's either going to stay on, or the handle's going to have a little device that locks it. That way you can hold both your eyes open. Even if just the hot water zone is going to mix some cold water to keep it tepid. Vice versa, just the cold water zone is going to mix a little bit of warm water to keep it tepid, so you can continuously flush your eye in comfort. Good rule of thumb nowadays is to flush until we can figure out what's in your eye. Don't want to flush for a minimum amount of time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Flush until somebody can confirm what was spilled in your eye, and then we can go from there. Whether it's you need to flush it all or flush for 10 minutes, just flush until we can figure it out. Also need to know where your chemical spill kit's located. Yours looks a little different. It's not blue in the front, but still a big silver pack in your department. Oddly enough, I noticed that 1 or 2 get stolen every now and then. I've already had to order more. Who stole these is a little above me. I don't know why they're useful in your residential life. But anyway, they're in your department. And if you don't have one, please confirm me. I have more. And they all have the same components in them. They all have your PPE, goggles, gloves. We'll put your goggles on and your gloves on before you do anything. They also come with these snakes. These snakes help these spread the chemical and keep it in one central location. And from there, stuff are very familiar with these absorbent pads. It's just white, so the blue ones we're used to. Also comes with a thing, I call it kitty litter, basically absorbent beads that help absorb whatever chemical it is. And from there, facilities can help clean it up and dispose of it and get it out of your department. But knowing where your tank pack at is critical. You need to know. And if a surveyor asks you, you're not going to tell them you don't know. Just ask your partner, ask somebody around, or call me and I'll bring you one. Please don't tell them you don't know. Okay, let's see. Just a few more things and I'm done. We do a great job at this 99% of the time. However, oddly enough, the past 2 surveys that same week, it happens. E-tanks are never to be self-standing. Oxygen, little oxygen tanks must be in a cart, must be in a bed, or on a single cart. It can never be freestanding. If you have a full or empty, or full or partial use E-tank, and you have nowhere else to put it, it can go in an empty cart. It's perfectly acceptable, as long as it's not freestanding. If you have it empty, and you have nowhere else to put it, because the empties are full, you need to call facilities, and we'll handle that immediately. Because an empty can never go in a in-use or full or partial cart at all. The rule of thumb behind that is that during an emergency, a nurse can grab any tank she wants to out of that cart that's full or partial. She doesn't look, she doesn't think. She can grab any tank out of that cart and run with it. But that's why we can never have empties there. All right. Cybersecurity is going nowhere anytime soon. It is extremely important, extremely critical that we stay vigilant. We've already had 2 sister hospitals breach this past year. The best thing you can do is understand nobody's going to ever ask for your credentials, ever. Not corporate IT, not myself, nobody. Nobody's allowed to have your credentials except you. As long as everybody understands that, we stop 99% of all attacks. It's a lot easier nowadays for somebody to talk their way to get credentials or access where they don't need it than it is to hack some of these systems that are encrypted. That's extremely difficult. A lot easier to talk their way to something. So just understand, nobody's gonna ask for your credentials, you're not allowed to give them out to anybody. Alrighty, one last thing, we added a new security code this year, and that's the security alert disturbance call. With that, with the security alert disturbance call, that means that there is a threat either exterior of the building or inside. That threat is not an active shooter, it's nobody who's actively hurting people. It's just, it's a situation that's got out of hand that we need assistance from the police and we need to let you know. Or if it's outside the building, for instance, we've had a few issues this year already. When the school was very close by, although it wasn't an active shooter situation, they thought it was for a while. And there was it was very likely. At that point in time, we would have let everybody know. What we did let everybody know, just we're changing that process a little bit. We're trying to be as open as we can. At that point in time, we would call the security alert disturbance exterior door lockout. It's not a full lockdown. Like I said, it's no active shooter. It's not a full lockdown. You can go about your business in your department. And if you're not in your department, we want to get to your closest department and just hang out until we can relay more information. But the exterior door lockout, like I said, threats external, it's off the property or outside the building, and we will be locking the doors. You can't lock people in. You can always get out. It's extremely illegal for us to lock the doors so you can't get out. But we will be locking the doors so people can't come in, just to keep everybody safe. Because we got all of you, all of our patients, and incapacitated patients who can't defend themselves. So keeping everybody safe is our responsibility. And we want to be as open and transparent as possible as well. So not only we get that overhead announcement, anybody who joins this group through that WhatsApp, we're going to push communication through there as well. And that way, if you are outside the building, if we do go to the exterior door lockout, then you will be notified that way. You won't be able to hear it inside if you're in here. So if you're not part of the group, by all means join. It's open, it's for everybody. It is closed, but who can communicate across it? That way we limit the conversation, the information to just emergency alerts. So that there won't be any false alarms by as soon as I make an announcement, you'll get 500 okays or thank yous or check marks. So it's limited who can talk, just kind of keep that to a minimum. That way when you see the alert, you know it's real. All right, y'all have any questions and comments? Well, that's my spiel.
Yes, and then it's gonna roll into a new thing, well, it's not new, Surgery Partners put a little acronym on something that we're gonna talk about. So tip 1, be empathetic and non-judgmental. You don't know what everybody's going through. So if this is a patient, a family member, a coworker, or anybody that comes at you, kind of play devil's advocate and see it from their side, and remember to be empathetic to their feelings. Respect personal space. I don't want Hannah coming up in my space, and she definitely doesn't want me in her space with that belly right now. Get it? So always kind of make sure you set those boundaries with the person so that they don't come in your space or you don't go into theirs. Tip 3, use non-threatening nonverbal. So if I'm standing here talking, me and Melissa, and we're having like a little argument, and I'm kind of crossing my arms, like not really listening to her, that's me acting like I don't care.
That's her mom.
Yeah. And so if I act like I don't care to the patient or the patient family, then they are gonna just it's gonna make the situation much worse. So, we'll back up. So what you wanna do is you wanna make sure you keep yourself open, listen to them, be actively listening to them, and kind of pay attention to what they're saying. Yeah. Alright, avoid overreacting. So what you want to do is you want to pay attention and check your feelings first. So if somebody comes up to you and they're really mad, and your first initial thing is to react to them, you wanna make sure that you keep yourself in check, so you keep yourself professional, and to keep them calmed down, okay? Next is focus on their feelings. So now that you've got your feelings in check, what you need to, when they start talking to you and they're saying, I feel like you're not listening to me, you say, I hear that you're feeling that I'm not listening to you, but here's what I'm gonna do for you. And you acknowledge their feelings and then you move forward with it. So not just dismissing the way that they feel, it's actually making a point to acknowledge their feelings. Ignore the challenging questions. So this kind of ties into one later on, but if you notice that a subject's kind of touchy with a patient or a family member or a coworker, avoid it at the time until they cool down, and then you can go back and address the situation that was the actual touchy point. And you can always revert back. All right, setting limits. This goes back to the personal space. If Melissa's coming at me and talking to me and cussing me out one side and down the other, I can say, I'm not gonna take and tolerate that. When you can calm down and talk to me in a more professional manner, then we can have a conversation. But until then, I'm not listening to it, and then you walk away. That's okay for you to set boundaries and tell somebody, I'm not gonna allow you to speak to me that way, so I can move on. And then, once y'all both calm down, then you can come back and rejoin. This goes back to the one before where it's like, watch what the challenging questions. So if you really need to insist on something and you know it's a challenging question, kind of wait for the mood to shift to a more calmer thing, and then you can insist upon it. Insisting upon a question that is really touchy is a bad time to do it. So be mindful when you're trying to ask those questions. Allow time for silence. So this is basically when you're talking to them and you're asking these challenging questions or any other time, and you say something to them, let it percolate for a minute. They will respond right back to you, but then you just let it simmer. And it usually gives them time to think about what they said, because most of the time people just react. They don't think before they speak, they just react. So giving that time really makes it better. And then once you go in there and you're talking to the patient or the family member and you tell them, this is what we're gonna do for you today, and you say it in a calm, professional manner, they verbalize that they understand everything, then you give them some time, give them some space, let them think about it, and then you can go back and address it. Before Melissa moves on, I want to show y'all a couple things. We are putting up some signs in the rooms upstairs, and we're going to put them all around the hospital. Our visitor policy and guidelines are plainly state that we're not going to tolerate any kind of aggressive behavior or anything like that. So we have reserved the right to take them off the property and call the police at any point in time. They know that we're not tolerating that. It's plainly stated. So when you notice this, react calmly and letting us know, and also make sure these are visible so that they know that. These are going to be in every room. All right, now
Surgery Partners has come out with a new initiative or program they want to call SPARK. It's an acronym, we all love acronyms. So SP, Apology, Resolution, and Communication. So Megan's got a bunch of good slides, but I'm gonna kind of tiptoe over one of them. So essentially the goal of SPARK is to empathize with our patients, apologize to them on how they're feeling.
I know, sorry.
Have a resolution and communicate. Essentially, when a patient comes in and they're upset or they're angry or they're voicing things that come from the de-escalation that Megan's already talked about, we apologize to them for their feelings. I'm sorry you're feeling that way. You don't know how they're feeling. They're not having their best day. They're having surgery. So try to be empathetic with them. The resolution essentially focuses on what is actually going on, causing them to be upset. If it's the fact that they're not getting along with the nurse they have, that's fine, swap out nurses. If they're not getting along with the AA, swap it out. It's better to swap it out and take on a new assignment than have to continue with it escalating. Communication, make sure you're very open and clear with the patient when you're talking to them. When do we use it? We use it every single day. Every day you have communication with a patient, a coworker, a physician, administration. You using Spark initiatives every day. Make sure you're clear with the patients. Don't let anything in the gray area. It's okay to tell the patient if you don't know. Just find out the answer. It's quicker to tell them you don't know than lie to them and they catch you in a lie and then it causes a whole nother problem. So recognize it immediately. If Hannah, Tamara, you're up the stairs, you have a patient who's getting agitated, you go to your charge nurse, you go to administrator, kind of nick it off as soon as you can. That way it gives the time for them to calm down some, speak to somebody else in charge, and hopefully resolve the situation. It doesn't always work. Make sure though that when you do go talk to a patient, if you think that patient is agitated and angry or volatile, make sure you take somebody with you and you're not going in there by yourself. It's easier to have a witness with you than the patient to come back and say, well, you said this and you said that and you treated me this way, when you've got somebody else who's actually watching the situation unfold. But just make sure you're notifying leadership immediately. Now, if I'm here, by all means call me. If I'm not here, you go to the next step up. You can call Christy upstairs, Colby downstairs. If you need to call Randy, by all means call Randy, call Megan. Anybody in administration to come be with you and support you. Now, as far as when you get ready to talk to this patient, be open. Like Megan was saying a while ago, don't go in like there's this, because then they're gonna think you're not listening and you're angry and ticked off because you're having to go in there. First thing's gonna be that. You're gonna set up a bad impression and a bad starting of the conversation. Just make sure you're open and be prepared. Like I said, always have somebody else with you at the same time. That's kind of what I've already talked about.
Yeah, set the scene.
That's the thing. Now, when you do go in there and you're ready to talk to them about whatever the question was, if they ask you, you know, when's my doctor coming in here? Make sure you're open with them and say, let me find out, I'll get back with you, give me time to go find out. Don't say I'll be right back, because then they're gonna be like, all right, she said she's gonna be right back where she's at 15 minutes later, so it's gonna feel like 5 hours with the patient. Just make sure you say, I'll be back in an hour or so, let me find out what's going on. If they don't like that answer, then come up with a different solution. Just make sure you're communicating openly with the patient. Patient's family members also. You can have a patient who's quiet, doesn't say anything, and the family member's gonna ask you all those questions. You use the same initiative here with the patient as you do with the family member, visitor, anybody who walks in the building. Just make sure you are being open with them. Admit when you don't know something. A lot of times patients ask about their bill. How much are they gonna owe? Well, first of all, I don't do billing. I don't know the answer to that question. I will direct them to somebody in the business office, because I can't answer a question I don't know. Now, the resolutions, which would be the next step, make sure you're clarifying exactly what do they want. Are they mad because they didn't get their tray at a certain time? Are they mad because they didn't get PT? Are they mad because they're sitting waiting in the lobby for 5 hours when they were supposed to be back in pre-op, when they first got here? We don't know exactly why they're angry and upset. Try to clarify exactly what it is and give them a plan. Huh?
The biggie. The document.
Oh, yeah. Make sure that you're documenting the patient's behavior. I love a quote. If they are cussing you out, by all means, quote it in their medical record, because that paints a picture of how that patient was acting. So when they come back here for another visit, we know that kind of patient this is. We can cancel them if Randy says it's okay. If that patient has been violent, volatile towards us, harmful towards us, it's easier for me to look back in that record and say, oh, well, this patient was here this day and cussed out every member who went in her room. So we can go, okay, yeah, we're not gonna do that. They can go somewhere else. This has happened before. I had a patient who was coming to have eye surgery. She accused the staff of stealing her belongings. We looked back at her inventory list. Everything was there. You might have left it somewhere else. So she said when she came back, she was coming with her lawyer. So I called the doctor. I said, hey, this is what's going on. We're not gonna do her here. So he went to talk, Dad, went down the street, had her surgery done there. By all means, let her have her surgery, just not in this building. Make sure that when you're documenting those things, you also document that you're telling, not that you're telling your manager, but document behavior, document who's in the room, who witnesses it. Make sure you're filling out an RO solution so I know what's going on. Because that way we can track if that patient comes in and each behavior she has. I don't have to have their number necessarily. I can look them up by name in the system and see how many times the RO solution has been put in about their behavior and their harassment towards the staff. When you're doing your documentation, do not document in the medical record that you filled out a RL solution. It becomes admissible in court if they decide to sue us. That is normally a protected part of the, our process, but if you put it in the medical record, it is now discoverable. If your manager's not here in the evening or nighttime when this happens, shoot them an email, say, hey, when you come back in, I would like to talk to you about the patient in 207, Jane Doe. Don't put in the email that you put out our oral solution. Just say, I would like to speak to you based on the behavior of the patient that was in 207, Jane Doe. That's all you need to do. She will come talk to you, he will come talk to you the next morning and find out exactly what happened, what was it, you know, what did you say, what did you come back to the patient with, and what was the resolution at the end of the day? The shift. Just make sure you never put that in the medical record. Yes, we are doing follow-up, ongoing communication. And some quick phrases that you can use when you're first talking to the patient and you're in that apology phase is, I'm sorry what happened to you, and I can appreciate you telling us what's going on. Never assume that they are fine, because they're not fine because they're here having surgery. Current knowledge, here's what you need to know right now. Patients love a plan, and they love to know what's gonna come. If you can tell them ahead of time, you know, you're gonna go to surgery, we're gonna recover you, you're going upstairs will kind of give you an idea when physical therapy is gonna come. They can not give you a specific time, but we can tell you the plan of care you're gonna have while you're here. No speculations, I don't wanna guess. We're reviewing the facts and we'll keep you informed. Again, this goes back to the fact that we saying, if I don't know the answer, I'm gonna tell them, I don't know the answer right now, but we can find that out. Compensation redirection. I'm not able to discuss financial questions, which is what I just talked to you guys about a while ago. Don't answer a question if you don't know the answer. Tell them you will find somebody who does know the answer. And as long as you tell them that, more likely they're more receptive to what you have to say next. That's
That's
any questions about any of that?